There's a new bank scam that's spreading and hitting more and more average Americans and business owners' bank accounts every day.
This is happening hundreds and thousands of times a day in the United States.
And an important question, could you fall victim to a sophisticated bank scam that begins with a simple text message? The government says scams of all kinds are soaring. Americans reported losing nearly $8.8 billion to fraud last year. That's up 30% from the year before.
And this isn't the obvious scams that most of us would assume only our parents or grandparents would get tricked into. This is affecting both young and old.
One text.
It said, Wells Fargo alerts, did you authorize a $4,427.10 wire/quick pay to Alice Rear? Reply yes or no, or text stop to opt out.
Kelsey Harrod responded no. Little did she know that's all it took for her to end up on the scammer's hook.
The scariest part of this scam is that the scammers strike you where you feel the most comfortable and where you wouldn't see it coming from, and that's on the phone with your bank.
And so he was like making me feel comfortable and safe.
Hello, ma'am. This is Miss Barbara from Chase ATM. I'd like to know if it's okay if I give you a new card. And I said yes.
A new debit card. But she says the woman told her before she could issue it, she'd need to verify Moss's identity by sending her a text message and having her read the numbers in the message back to her over the phone.
So I'm going to show you how this scam works and the key moment that could prevent you from falling into the scam that most people don't think of just because everything is happening so quickly. Now, as you heard, this scam starts with a fraud text from your bank, from the same number that your bank would normally text you from. And it's asking you anything as simple as, did you authorize this $35 charge? Or did you try to send a wire to such and such? And at this point, everything seems normal, and then
And I get a call. I answered, it was the Wells Fargo agent, so I thought, telling me that there had been some, unusual activity on my account.
Kelsey checked and confirmed the number was Wells Fargo's customer service line. She didn't realize it had been spoofed. Now, according to the caller, Kelsey needed to transfer her money into a new secure bank account.
now once you're on the phone with them, it's almost too late. But this is the key moment that you need to hang up the phone before you end up like Deborah and Kelsey.
I'd taken all my money.
Nearly $160,000 stolen.
It's a lot of money.
But he coached me through it and made me feel like he was a legitimate agent.
She transferred almost $2,000 out of her account and right into the scammer's hands.
You see, when you're on that call, basically their main goal is to make some transactions which are going to require a security code which your bank is going to then text to you. And they are going to try to say they're doing something to protect your account on their end, and they are sending the code to you. And this is actually an authentic code from the bank, but it's because of a transaction that they're trying to do while on the phone with you. And then as soon as they trigger the transaction, the bank sends you the code, so it shows up in your regular text messages from that bank. Everything looks legit, you give them the code, and now they're able to execute the transaction. Now, getting off the phone once they do call you is a key moment to hang up to prevent things from going further, but what you do need to be aware of is that if you avoid texting them back in the first place when they ask you about the fraudulent transaction, that is also going to be a even more key prerequisite to making sure that you don't even end up getting on the phone with them. Now, one thing that should be obvious but might not be so obvious is the fact that if they are texting your phone and even calling you, that means that they already have a lot of your information. It may have been leaked from a data breach or something else, we don't know, because there's a lot of ways people's information can be leaked. But the fact remains that the scammers got your information somehow. And while you're on the phone, they might do things like verify certain things that you would think only the bank would know. It could be a recent transaction. It could be something close to your current balance. It could be your address. Not to mention the fact that they go by a script which is very similar to what your regular fraud department would use at your bank. That's why it's so dangerous to get on the phone with them, because it can feel like this is actually the bank that you're talking to. But in reality, the best measure that you can take to prevent this stuff from happening is two things, and they're going to be very vital to making sure that you don't get scammed. One is going to be whenever you receive a text message that says something fraudulent happened, or if you receive a phone phone call even without responding to the text message, make sure that you always pick up the phone and call your bank at the customer service line or the fraud department line that you find online or wherever you may have it. By calling into the bank, you can always make sure that you are talking to somebody that is really at that bank. Anybody can spoof a phone number that is from a bank and call you, but the same will not happen when you actually dial that number yourself. And again, I'm not talking about calling back the number that they may have called you from. I'm talking about calling the number that you looked up yourself. And you really can't afford to play around with this stuff, if you're a regular consumer or a business owner, because of course you have your paycheck that you probably worked hard for and saved up into your bank account, or you have money that you've earned from business, and it's possible for all of that to be wiped out in a moment's time. And outside of making sure that you call the bank if you get into the situation where you get this fraud text message, even a prerequisite to that is making sure that you do all you can to protect your banking information and just protect your personal information so that it doesn't get easily leaked in case anything happens out there, because we know and we have seen the data breaches and systems getting hacked have happened all the time. However, if you have something in place to be notified if there are data breaches in certain places, or if you can go in and look and see if your information is out there on the dark web somewhere, then that is something that you can do and keep track of to try to get your information from being out there, and putting some security measures in place so that you get notified in case something happens, so that you can then lock down anything that you might need to, like your credit profile, adding multi-factor authentication at your banks. Doing all of this will help make sure that your information is secure. But there are multiple ways that scammers always try to get people's information. One of those ways is by hacking people's phones. And if you want to make sure you can protect your phone from getting hacked and scammed, go ahead and check out this video, or check out this video that YouTube thinks you'll probably like. And I'll see you in the next video.